Good evening and welcome to another edition of Special Assignment. I'm your host, Ashraf Garda. Tonight, we lift the lid on how mothers who are foreign nationals but living illegally in South Africa are separated from their young children. These women are arrested and taken to the notorious Lindela repatriation center to be deported. In some cases, mothers are sent out of the country not knowing who will take care of their children who are left behind in South Africa. This report by Rochelle Seaton-Rogers.
Mothers are being ripped apart from their babies when they're arrested for being in the country illegally and taken to Lindela for deportation. They're often separated from their babies across border lines, never knowing if they'll see them again or whether they're in safe hands.
I was thinking that this is the chance to lose my child forever, because the chances to come back from that side to here is hard.
We follow the story of life, a Zimbabwean national and others in this predicament. But how can the problem be fixed when Home Affairs denies that there is one?
Let's make it clear, we do not keep people who've got children in our facility. We don't.
And current pictures sent to special assignments show that there is still abuse inflicted on detainees by Lindela staff. Special Assignment received reports that mothers are being separated from their babies when they're taken to Lindela Repatriation Center for deportation for being in the country illegally. We decided to investigate the claims and visited the center undercover. Here we spoke to people who confirmed the information. Special Assignment met live at Lindela with his 3-month-old baby girl, Bongi. He was desperately trying to get officials to let him give the baby to her mother, Tumi, who was locked up in Lindela. We've changed the names of the foreign nationals in our story to afford them some protection. Life told officials that baby Bongi was sick and that he couldn't look after her properly without her mother. But that still didn't make officials budge, and they turned the crying father away. Special Assignment accompanied a dejected Life and baby Bongi back to their home. On arrival, we found a second baby of 1.5 years, Thabo, belonging to the couple, had been left on his own in the flat. Life said this was because he just wasn't coping.
Mara abantwana bona lo hayi ngiyakwazi ukuthi ngoba udla lokho engudlalo amaphampa ngiyakwazi ukumtshintsha lo umncane kakhulu and inkinga engilayo ukuthi engagula mina ngizayenzani ngoba angikwalo ukuthi ama days akhe uhlaba anini kwenzakalani yinkinga engilayo ngalo mntwana.
Bongi was born at 26 weeks and weighed just 1,000 grams. A full-grown baby is normally carried to 42 weeks and usually weighs 3 times that. She was born at the Charlotte Maxeke Johannesburg Academic Hospital in July, where she spent 41 days recovering. Pediatric Professor Dr. Cooper showed Special Assignment where Bongi was nursed to health in the neonatal ICU. Some of the babies in here are barely bigger than the doctor's hand. We then speak to the hospital's CEO, who says that the mother plays a vital role in a very premature baby's survival.
You can never emphasize the importance of the role of the mother in a premature baby. I can't think differently whether it would make a lot of sense to separate the two. It doesn't. Clinically, it didn't make a lot of sense.
He adds that even once the baby is released from hospital, there is a long road ahead.
Remember, we're allowing the catch-up. After some time, the baby catches up with the babies who are of the same age. So on monthly basis we want babies to come. From time to time we have to readmit some of those babies. Yeah. We need to ensure that what we have started is completed well. So it can take up to a year. It's not easy to take care of a premature baby. It's heavy.
The day after meeting life at Lindela, we accompany him back to the centre with both the children. He gets the babies ready for the journey. After thumbing a lift, he makes his way back to Lindela, situated in Krugersdorp on Gauteng's West Rand. Once dropped off on the side of the road, Life makes his way across the busy freeway to meet the dirt path which takes him to the centre. But despite his renewed attempts to get the children reunited with their mother, Lindela officials again refuse them entry into the centre, and he is sent home without any hope.
Coming up, the emotional testimony of mothers who are separated from their children.
We now take you inside Lindela, where mothers being held there recorded themselves telling their stories. 20-year-old Tumi, Life's partner, shown in the pink shirt, and mother to baby Bongi and Thabo, tells her story from inside Lindela through a friend. At the request of the father, Life, Special Assignment contacted the Department of Social Development to ask for assistance. Spokesperson for the Minister, Lumka Olifant, says that what Home Affairs is doing is illegal.
All children, regardless of their legal or illegal status, they have the same rights as all South African children. But as well, when children whose parents are illegal in the country, those are classified as accompanied minors, and they should not be separated from their mothers. Wherever they are kept, whether it's your Lindela or wherever they are, or even in our prisons, they cannot be separated from their mothers, especially when they are young.
In the next few days since our intervention, Tumi was reunited with both her babies and taken to a place of safety at Lindela to wait deportation back to Zimbabwe. But most likely from being away from its mother for a long period, premature baby Bongi had now fallen ill.
abe travel esendaweni ezinje ngoba lo muntu akafuni moya akafuni kube tshintsha amanzi ufuna nje ukuhlale esendaweni eyi-1 and
But despite the warnings from the doctor, Tumi was deported in the early morning of the 19th of December last year.
I hope that it is written down, because if there's a doctor that says a child should not go because they are sick and their life is in danger, that should not have happened. It is a violation of any child, whether South African or otherwise, and the mother should have then be kept in South Africa until the child is in a good state.
Desperate to get back into South Africa, Tumi embarked on a treacherous journey with both her babies.
emveni kwalokho bayabaletha abantwana then basidipota ke labantwana sithe sesisuka sasesidinga imoto lezi ezabantu abathwala abantu so bakwazi ukukhuluma labantu abasemabhoda so akwazi kwayehlule sazama kodwa kwehlula imali esasilayo then basebesitshela ukuthi bazokwazi ukuthi bahambe lathi ngezinye indlela sasuka sasesihamba ngeganga egangeni ke lapho ikho kunzima khona
unzima kanjani
sasihamba sasilala phandle sihamba siphuza amanzi angcolileyo ungela kudla.
On her arrival back in South Africa, sick baby Bongi had to be admitted to hospital and stayed there for 7 days. Bongi had also missed important checkups required for premature babies that had been scheduled while her mother was locked up and deported. Fortunately, Bongi seems to have made a full recovery. Also kept in Lindela at the same time as Tumi was Londi, also a Zimbabwean national. She was also arrested in November last year. We catch up with her after her release.
I was walking by the streets, then the policeman stopped their car and said to me, passport or ID? I said, I don't have, I've got a passport. Where is the passport? And I told them I don't have the passport, it's by the room. They didn't allow me to come back and take the passport. They just take me to the police station, from there to Lindela.
Londi's arrest and detention separated her from her 2-year-old child, Ayanda.
It's still paining me when I'm thinking of that story.
Did you get to speak to your child while you were locked up?
No, I didn't get to talk to her because the one who was with my child lost her phone, so I didn't talk to her.
So you couldn't even check that your child was arrived?
Yeah, I didn't.
Were you worried about your child?
Yeah, I was worried.
What were some of the things that worried you?
Just to think of her, what she's doing. She slept eating, even disturbing my friend from her work because she was to look after her and she leave her work and look after her.
Not being able to get hold of the woman looking after her baby, Londi was deported back to Zimbabwe without knowing if her child was safe or not.
I was thinking that this is the chance to lose my child forever, because the chances to come back from that side to here is hard without a passport.
If the mother was here with the child, then the mother and the child should have been deported together. We will have to bring it to the attention of that department so that it can be monitored, and I will talk to our officials in the department who deal with children and our children's youth in the department, just to go and to talk to Home Affairs and see where the problem is.
Like Tumi, Londi took drastic measures to get back into South Africa.
They deported me, they leave me in Bedbridge. We slept near the river because it was in the evening. We slept there near the river. Wake up early in the morning. We crossed the river around 1 o'clock and the water was by this side of my, Scary. There are soldiers, there are people who are killing, there are people who are stealing, there are animals, dangerous animals. In the river there are crocodiles, there are elephants, or everything.
But you'd rather still go through that danger to get back here than...
Yeah, for my child.
Londi was eventually reunited with her child after tracking down her friend, whose number had changed and who had moved house. But it was short-lived, as Londi was to be separated from her child once again. Londi sent her daughter to stay with her grandparents in Zimbabwe. She packed some things given to her by a friend to send to her child.
I'm not working. How can I look after her while I'm not working? Because even I myself, I don't have a place. My friend is looking after me. So it's better for me to suffer alone than to suffer with my kid.
But what is the Department of Home Affairs position on this? Well, we get their response right after this.
Special Assignment confronted the Department of Home Affairs about them separating babies from their mothers at Lindela. But the Director General, Mkhuseli Alpeni, was adamant this wasn't happening.
Let's make it clear, we do not keep people who've got children in our facility. We don't.
But we're speaking to someone right now who's in the facility and her baby's 3 months old.
What I'm saying is that if that person has disclosed to us that I've got children, we'll never take that person in our facility. Because you can't separate a parent against his children. How you want to manage that? We don't do that.
But the woman we spoke to said they had informed officials that their children were on the outside.
They didn't say anything. They say, tell someone to bring your child in. The number of my friend, I can't go through it. So they just say you must be deported.
But Alpeni says Home Affairs also has to cover itself in these situations.
At the same time, must also look at the risk that we can't, everyone just comes there and says, these are my children, then we release. We need to investigate and make sure that is a fact. Once we understand that, then we'll be able to release that woman.
We approached the Human Rights Commission about what the Department of Home Affairs is doing. They said they'd look into the matter.
You know, when you hear stories such as this, where women are separated from their children, it's really, really heartbreaking that government continues to perpetuate these attitudes and behaviors towards foreign nationals and to treat people in this way. We do find that there is a complete lack of empathy and human rights.
Last year, the Commission took Home Affairs to court because they were holding some detainees in Lindela for longer than the prescribed 4-month period. But before their day in court, Home Affairs released a number of the foreign nationals in question, which the Commission feels shows the department's determination to dodge the legal process.
The Human Rights Commission has now decided to bring a further court application in the course of 2013, which will request clarity from the Department of Home Affairs to answer to some of the questions as to why they've been holding foreign nationals for longer than the 120 days prescribed by the law.
Another contentious issue facing Home Affairs is the closing down of refugee reception offices in Johannesburg, Cape Town and Port Elizabeth, and moving them to Durban and the Zimbabwean and Mozambican borders.
We are bringing now this closer to the people. If it is in Cape Town, then that person is to travel down to Cape Town without getting a service. But if it is close there, then they'll be able to be serviced.
This has led to another court battle for Home Affairs, this time with the NGO Lawyers for Human Rights.
In all 3 closures, the courts have said that these closures have been unlawful and they've been carried out in an unlawful manner. In Port Elizabeth and in Cape Town, the courts have said that those offices need to reopen and re-avail their services to newcomers. This has never happened. Home Affairs, their attitude to court orders and their respect for court orders has been very, very poor. And their attitude has bordered on contempt.
How is saying now we are not able to implement the court because we have appealed the decision?
The LHR says this move could exacerbate the problem of foreign national mothers being separated from their children.
Because of the closures of the other offices, there is now more pressure on the existing offices to deliver services, which means that permits do expire, and once an asylum seeker permit expires, that person becomes illegal, and the police may arrest them and detain them for being illegally in the country. If that person is arrested without their family members, without their children, they have no way of reuniting with their family in order to either leave the country voluntarily or to be deported together.
The Human Rights Commission will be producing a report on Lindela this year. Ahmed says they're also going to investigate some allegations of mistreatment.
We also went on a tour of the facilities, and generally speaking, the conditions appeared to be fairly standard. There were, of course, complaints from people we spoke to that they were also being treated very badly by some of the security staff that had been contracted to assist with the management of the centre. But these allegations have not yet been proven.
But Special Assignments got current proof sent to us by detainees that some of them are being brutalised by staff shown here wearing blue. Londi, one of the mothers kept at Lindela, also complained about conditions there.
The place is dirty, whatever, it's not good. They're not washing their plates, they're just giving us food in those dirty plates, and so we sleep in beds with the dirty blankets. That place is not nice. It's crowded, overcrowded. I got sick there. I'm coughing since I come out of that place. I'm still coughing by now.
Both the Human Rights Commission and the Lawyers for Human Rights think that Home Affairs' treatment of foreign nationals in the country perpetuates xenophobia. They say it's dangerous ground to tread on, considering the xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals in 2010, when over 60 people were killed.
when government sends out a message by holding foreign nationals in detention centers for longer than 120 days, it absolutely perpetuates this idea that foreign nationals can be treated outside of the framework of the law. And this sends a very, very bad signal to South Africans, that we are allowed as South Africans to treat foreign nationals in a way that government in some ways has condoned through its actions.
Home Affairs is setting a very bad example by trying to remove asylum seekers and refugees from urban centres and to take them out of cities and move them off to the borderlines. It's creating a very bad precedent, and actually it's giving all of those communities who were trying to evict refugees and migrants from their communities in 2010 during the xenophobic violence, it's giving them exactly what they wanted.
I think it is important to say Home Affairs is not responsible for xenophobic attacks. That is a country issue. We report as a country what we are doing to the UN. There are periodical reports which we need to submit as a country. We're saying what are we doing to make sure that there are no xenophobic attacks in our country. Then for us, we are working hard as those departments to make sure that things like that, they do not happen.
Tumi and Londi both say that despite it being difficult for them to get the right papers to stay in the country, they'd rather stay in South Africa and risk being deported again, because life across the border is still better than going back to their own countries.
Zimbabwe, there's no job totally. Even if you find a job, there's little money. You cannot afford to live with that money. So yeah, I think it's better than in Zimbabwe.
So a rather disturbing trend, but how can it be fixed? Well, what would you do if you were in charge? Tweet using the hashtag special assignment, Facebook us on the official special assignment page, or email us. And you can also tune into my radio show when we take this issue further. That's on SAFM Friday at 2:30 in the afternoon. Finally, I've picked out 2 comments on the many heated postings we received from last week's show, exposing rising organised crime in the border town of Manguzi in northern KwaZulu-Natal and how that spills over into Mozambique. Casper Kerr tweeted, "The SANDF and the SAPS are completely useless when it comes to our borders." And there was a tweet then from Frodo responding, saying, "It has nothing to do with being useless. It is everything to do with staff shortage and government's lack of funding." Well, that's our show for tonight. Join us again next week when we point out the issues that matter.